Beleo. Yo. It's not gonna be a long live today. Of course, it is the 21st, so it's the winter solstice. So, we want to tap into the rituals tonight. So I won't keep anyone long because we're trying to get some blessings as well. But we were talking about the Ori tonight, and thank you for anyone who will join us tonight. Thank you for anyone who is joining us later. We definitely appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. Share this to your brothers and sisters. For anyone who is interested in more spiritual guidance, more deep diving, KwofiKhAn.com. We do have many different ceremonies, retreats, rituals, different classes and products to prepare you for initiation, which brings me to our Patreon page that we're just starting to prepare you for our next steps. Our Patreon class just has a membership, and this class that we offer, we're starting in the academy, helps you and allows you to prepare for initiation before you take those steps in. So we just want to allow people to start off the way they want to start off. So just keep that in mind, that we are stepping into that. So we will have more lengthy lives or lengthy videos happening for free as far as the YouTube go. But we want to keep people who are serious about it more educated on a private matter. So we do have the academy started where you will have more private and deeper information and such. So that's just preparing for the shift. Just preparing for the shift. So we're just gonna go ahead and prepare for the segment tonight. Like I say, I don't want to hold it too long. Of course, a lot of us is preparing for the summer solstice and different rituals we have going on. So we don't want to, keep anyone too long. But we do have a list of different questions here over the last couple of ceremonies and readings that we have just gathered that we figured would just be great to go over and speak about and just have on record of us, trying to teach as much as possible, as much as we can without giving too many secrets away. Correct? So a lot of people always ask, about the destiny. A lot of people always ask, who are they? They always ask, what is Ori? Anytime we start dealing with the Yoruba pantheon or the Yoruba traditions or religious practices in general, we always run into Ori. And we always talk about or hear the word Orishas and know about these deities, know about these beings, these Aramules, correct? And it's in the name Orisha. And Yoruba, of course, you will find it as Orisa, but it's still the same thing, correct? So anytime we start dealing with this, I like to let people know about the chakras. And some people would say that it's the third eye. I know some of my Santeria brothers will say that it is the third eye. Some people will say it is the crown. I would say it was the thread between the both of those, correct? But more highly just being the crown, correct? And what is the crown chakra? What is the crown chakra doing, correct? We're talking about a bringing us into alignment, balancing us out, bringing forth angelic energy, correct? Creating our connection to the elements, to the higher naturopathic ways of life. So we have to keep in mind that when we deal with Ori, it belongs to everybody. This is not like sacred energy that just belongs to one certain category of people. No. When you look up the Yoruba term of what Ori is, they speak about it being the head, They speak about it being the higher self. They speak about it being the highest point. So this is something that belongs to each and every person who is blessed with this so-called human experience, correct? So when we start talking about destiny, because the original question was that we're speaking about is how can I find my destiny? What is a destiny? Is destiny the same thing as fate? Now, we have to understand that destiny and fate is two separate things, and we're not going to get too deep into fate. But some people believe that the fate is like the final straw, the thing that's interchangeable, correct? Destiny on the other hand, I would always like to tell people can change, especially if you're not focused, especially if you're not balanced, correct? Destiny is the highest form of what we speak of being the Ori. When we start dealing with Ifa, when we start dealing with any of these practices, we have to remember that Ifa is the grandparent of these religions, correct? So the focus or the objective or the goal of religions is highly the principle of Ifa. The foundation of Ifa is based and constricted and formed around what Ori is, and also Ewepele, which we will speak about the two in a minute. But when we speak about Ori, we were speaking about this destiny, correct? I always let people know that the Ori has three parts. Like I say, destiny is the thing that is, you can end up changing it, right? For many different ways. You can get distracted in different things like that and just fall off path. But in the main segment of it, it has three parts. Some people believe six, and we will cover the other three at another time. But the main three, Akun Liyan, Akun Legba, these two is a little different. Akun Liyan, this is the one that you chose. So let's say before you came here, you chose what age you were going to die at. You chose how many kids you were going to have. You chose the ultimate reason why you came here. Okun Legba is things that helps that decision, correct? So these different things based on the situation or based on the experience can probably alter. Ayamo, this third part of the Ori is something that don't change. So this could be like a bloodline. This could be just the family structure that you come from. This is highly where like generational curses get caught up in different things like that. This is like the form of seeing the Ori change. Now, there's also different forms of the Ori, right? We spoke about that. Ipanu, they speak about just different forms of the Ori being the head, the stomach, and the big toe. Those are the other three different forms of the Ori, correct? But anytime we deal with the Ori in general, we got to remember that the O is very important, right? So remember about in the Hindu cultures or the Buddhist cultures when we say Om Mani Padme Hum, when they're doing that meditation, the O is one of the oldest vibrations, one of the oldest sounds that we have in nature, correct? And when we're dealing with the O in Yoruba terms, we talk about Obadala, we talk about Osenyen, we talk about Oshun, we talk about Olodumare, we talk about Asheo. When we talk about that O, this is the continuance. This is the continuance infinity. We talk about the 99th dynasty of Lot, of course, but the numerology behind the number 9 being the infinite number, but really it's the number 8. That's really the infinite, and that's the two zeros stacked on top of each other. Then you turn them sideways, and it makes the complete infinity, correct? This is continuous energy. This is the energy, and I'll speak about this later, but this is the energy that remains, correct? They say what Odu speaks about Ori. It's a lot of Odus, of course, that speaks about Ori. One of them that's on top of my mind is Ogobi Ogunda. Ogobi Ogunda speaks about Efuwepe. Efuwepe was with two other people. It was three of them. They went and got a reading, and if Wepe was the only one who ended up doing sacrifice, and he ended up being the one who was successful, of course. So the other two eventually was like, yo, if we know what he did, if we knew what path he took, eventually, we would have took that path. But and the story is long, of course. All Patiki is long, but initially, what it's saying is that everyone has their own order. Everyone has their own path, correct? Um, there's also other patikis that speaks about um, ti aba gaba adada riri o gebi ori ti odada, meaning the one who has a good destiny must have picked a good head. And they have a badiki, and they speak about that envision up at Orun, up in the Ile, up in the heavens, so say, up in the Ile, the spiritual house in the heavens. Just picture a house with a whole bunch of heads in the room. And you came in there and you picked which head that you wanted. And this was the head that you brought to earth. This head was a representation of ending up being Ori, correct? So when we speak about, I spoke about Ewepele. When we speak about Ori and Ewepele, we got to remember that one is all and all is the entirety. So I said that these cultures is wrapped around Ori. Like that's the foundation. Like that's what this culture and these practices is trying to get you to do is understand the Ori and build the Ewepele. The Ewepele is the good character, correct? They say that any destiny is fulfilled through Ewepele. Any destiny is fulfilled through good character. Any Ori is fulfilled through Ewepele. And any Ewepele is built through walking through the Ori. They are connected. They are together. Ewepele is the sense that's going to make you worthy enough to try to remember. That's going to keep you awakened. That's going to keep you conscious. And we will speak about the consciousness because this is another three layers of it, right? You have the conscious, the subconscious, and the super subconscious. And these fall into what those three Ori category or six, but you understand what I'm saying. Those three Ori categories truly is. So we got to keep the Ori and the Ewepele connected when we're dealing with these cultures. I spoke about the crown chakra bringing in the elements, and I don't have the house here, but when you see us have the house that the Ori lives in, this was a symbolization that they used in Yoruba thousands of years ago, right? This was the circle connected to the square. And you will see that it has four sides in a circle and it makes the triangle, which at the top, some of them makes the triangle at the top. And this was the balancing of those elements of nature. And those squares on it, those sides of the house, makes up the four sides. Those four sides is fire, air, water, and earth, correct? And these four elements was the balancing of what they were saying the Ori was representing of what it was trying to do for us, correct? Now, we speak about or they, they asked the question about how to connect to the Ori. I always tell people there is Ibori ceremonies, correct? Like, so we do host Ibori. Our temple does host Ibori ceremonies, Ori ceremonies, to where you find your Ori. You learn how to feed and appease your Ori, correct? But there's many simple ways, and we will get to those ways, correct? But to speak about like what the Ori truly is, or how it came about, or how we can find it, in more Padikis, we find the story about Orumela, who always was casting, of course, but he was part of. They say that he is the witness, correct? So as far as human creation, they say that Orumela was the witness. We speak about that. A lot of people give Obatala, which all praises my Fafun Obatala, all praises to him, but they always give him the rights or the blessings or the stories about creation of the humans. And to many keys to many stories in the sense that is true, that's correct. We're not saying anyone is wrong. But Oremare is the one who had the correct instructions of how to mold the Ori, correct? So Oremila for sure was there during that process, and he was the witness. I always tell people it was like he was sitting there with a notepad and he wrote down the different happenings that was taking place. So Oremila took these different elements, correct? At this point in time, Ori was a deity. It was an energy. It was a floating head almost. You can envision it as a floating head. And there was other elements as well, correct? Like to end up making the body, of making the creation of man. So, like I say, this is the only thing that remains. And now I'll come back to that statement like right after I'm done explaining this. So the head and other elements was floating. And at this point, like I say, these were gods. These were deities. I'm using God very lightly, but these were deities. These were energies. And Orumela put them all to the shrine and put the obi, the gola nuts, into the shrine and said whoever can end up breaking the kola can end up being the continuous energy, correct? Long story, longer. Of course, these podcasts is very lengthy. The Ori is what ended up being the one who cracked the cola into different pieces. When he cracked the cola into different pieces, it ended up being 8 pieces. This is why Obatala is respected and talks about he owns the Ori, and that's a whole different avenue and conversation about it. But the cola, the Obi cracked into 8 pieces, and it was the Ori that ended up cracking it. So he is the one who ended up being the head. So this is how Ori have got elected to be in that righteous spot, correct? We need to remember that when it comes to, like I said, the Ori is the only thing that remains. So your body will perish, and they talk about that spirit that leaves. That is the Ori, correct? They speak about the third eye. Once I said, like a culture of people believe that the Ori is rests in the third eye, and this is the intuition. This is the true spirit that's only inhabiting this body, correct? And this is the demigod that's inhabiting the human form. And we must understand that this is the only thing that get passed down. Envision the Ori as being a map, a guide, a GPS. This was a existence, a determination, a decision, a life that you ended up deciding in your creation as you was being created, as you decided to come to this existence and become a human for whatever reason. In that process, they say it took about 9 months, give or take, whether, premature and whatever. They say it took about 9 months for you to walk. Once Odamare passed you on and said that you was allowed to come, once Odamila said you was allowed to come, and they passed you on, and you began coming to earth as a human, that Ori came with you, but during that 9 months, you became exhausted. You became to the point where you was just willing to sacrifice anything. Memory, they say in a certain degree, was one of those first things that we was forced to sacrifice, that was worthy enough for a sacrifice during that 9 month journey, able to become a human. The Ori is what stayed, is what came, is what passed down. So this is the importance of divination. So people talk about or ask the question, how can they connect to the Ori, the divination, of course. And once you do these bodies, once you do these ceremonies and really find out what your Ori is, this is when you connect to that GPS. This is when you find that guide. This is when you start connecting to that map and start finding out what route or what reason was your mission here in the first place, correct? So we got to remember that when it comes to generational curses, this is big when it comes to Ori as well. Some people believe that the generational curses is what lingers through the Ori, is what get passed down from the ancestral code. It is through the Ori. Some people believe that you should let the children just be free, just completely free, naked, of course, as far as health. But let's not get started too much on that. But they should just be free in general, correct? As a young child, especially as a young infant and adolescence, especially as that soft spot on top of their head is closing, correct? Because that is that portal, that is that order we that we are speaking about, correct? So we got to keep in mind that when they are that young, that's how they are absorbing so much and picking up on their surroundings at a very, very early stage of life. We got to remember that consciousness. Remember, I said there's three levels to consciousness. There's consciousness, there's subconsciousness, and there's subconsciousness. This consciousness is what get passed down. Those personalities is part of the ori. These are the traits. This is how they can end up finding igbe eventually down the line, correct? But without telling too many secrets. This is how they can end up tracking the personality or the traits. And when you are a baby, when you are a child, when you have a child, you do not get to decide those traits or personalities. They come with them. That is part of the ori. They brought that with their ori. They brought that with them during that transition from the Orun stage or the so-called heaven stage, or just from Odamare down to becoming a human. So we got to be very careful when it comes to like generational curses and different things like that. But this is how you can break them as well, finding out the first stages, not only lineage rituals, but also the Ori rituals, correct? The Igbe rituals and different things like that is how you start figuring out about the generational curses. People always have those deeper questions of life, and this is how you start answering those deeper questions of life that they be sending in, correct? So when it comes to feeding or appeasing the ori, they start talking about shaking in the morning, and I'm not going to get into too many secrets or different things, but shaking in the morning, yeah, that's right on. We say ilaro ore mobile, ilaro ore mobile, ilaro ore mobile, right? Ore mela, please descend. Ori, I call on you, I depend on you, correct? This is a connection that you should say every morning. This is a connection or an affirmation that you should say to connect to that ori when you are pleasing it. You should definitely keep things around you when you're trying to connect to the ori clean, like the floor. If you're like giving offerings and different things like that, keep things clean. You want it to be neat. We're talking about a deep connection of thyself, the most sacred element of yourself, of your existence. So it's very, very important to keep the areas clean and different things like that. The simple thing is when you're talking about the ori, don't and you're consulting the ori and different things like that. I'm trying not to give too many sacred points, but when you're consulting the ori, don't ask about no one else. Keep it strictly about yourself. Only ask about you. Only worry about your path, your destiny, correct? Like only ask questions that's containing you, whether about your finances or what your health or just, certain things that might end up be going through, correct? You should wake up in the morning. You should tap the third eye 3 times, and give a quick affirmation, give a good prayer, and just connect to that ori in different ways. There's many different things you can give to appease these oris and different things like that. So that's just something to keep in mind. The main thing we must understand is that this ori, once again, it is the main essence of ourself. It is the main important segment of our identity. It is our personality. It is our trait to ourself. It is that segment, that piece that we brought from the heavens, that we brought from the previous world, from the transitional world. We may have forgot or sacrificed memory in the meantime to gain the human vessel to survive in this dimension for the time being, but it is still here, and it is a prominent way to tap into it, and it's something that is very important. Like I say, these cultures, as far as all ATRs, all African traditional religions, is based on trying to get you to connect to that aura, trying to get you to become a better version of yourself. And the way you do that is understanding yourself, understanding why you are here. The reason why people are not building the Ewe Pele, the reason why people are not worried about their good character or is not building good character is because they're frustrated. They're confused and they're frustrated. And a lot of the time, they just run into so much conundrums, they end up quitting or end up just losing to the scenarios of society or human experiences. But in general, this is what we see, correct? Once again, we speak about uh, the chakras. We're talking about an angelic source. I want to speak about the orishas. Like, so when we speak about these, when we start talking about orishas being like different elements in the world, whether it's fire, whether it's thunder, whether it's the river, right? Whether it's the path, the road, the dirt, whether it's the trees, the leaves, the roots, you can find these elements as orishas. We got to understand that when we're dealing with the ori, we are part of that naturopathic element. So when we start talking about how to connect higher to these divinities, how to connect higher to these sources, this is how we end up doing that. So once again, as well, that the ori is connected with the ewebele. So they have to be hand in hand, especially if you are living these traditions the correct way. This is how you balance that, correct? So once again, I didn't want this to linger too long. I'm coming up on a half an hour, so I want to be closing out because we are dealing with the winter solstice. It's a lot of different rituals taking place tonight. It's a lot of different things going on. I want you to be able to take part of that, and I don't want to hold anyone too long. Do we help people with Ori? Was the last question. Like, can we help you connect? And once again, I think I covered that. But yes, we do offer the Ibori ceremony. We do offer appeasements and feedings to your Ori in the right way. I would advise to get the divination done first, get a reading done first by me or either Baba O. And we'd end up being able to walk through that or get to that stage whenever you are ready or the ancestors and spirits deem that we are ready to cross that bridge. So once again, visit us at KwofiKhAn.com. We do have the Patreon starting for more deeper conversations past this, more secrets or more private conversations being had on Patreon. That is the African Traditional Religion Academy on Patreon, where you can join the membership and join the classes and get more lengthy, lessons. That comes with a lot of different benefits. Just look us up over there. Definitely like and subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't already. We will be going live here more and more, only more clips and more of our blogs will be released on other platforms. If you haven't followed us on those other platforms, if you're just strictly here from YouTube and our YouTube family, go and like us on other platforms. We definitely don't be getting no love on Instagram, but they love us on TikTok. They love us on Facebook. We love our Facebook and TikTok family, and we're trying to grow the Instagram. And like I said, now we have the Patreon for you for more sacred, more private, more deeper conversations for this information. So make sure you hit all of those platforms for us. Make sure you hit KwofiKhAn.com, where we have rituals, ceremonies, all the way to readings, all the way to herbal products, anything that you need for this spiritual journey to take off and start. We do have mentorship programs. KwofiKhAn.com, you can find those. If not, you can't find them for whatever reason, you should be able to punch in the search engine for whatever reason. you can't find them on there, please email us, Connie700.com, or hit us on one of our private DMs, and we will get you wrapped up on anything you need. A day open around my saying does has many other ceremonies coming up at the beginning of the new year. If you haven't got your New Year reading in, go ahead and get your New Year reading in, especially if you are part of the Elay. But if you aren't part of the Elay and desire to be part of the Elay, definitely, like I say, inform us on one of those connection lines, and look out for those ceremonies that we will be having for upcoming ICFA initiations, ITFA initiations, and ceremonial Ori ceremonies, all the way to sheddings, cleansings, prayers, and other Odorisha ceremonies. So I thank anyone who took the time to join us on this. Like I say, I wanted to keep it, under 45 minutes. We're at a half an hour now. I think this is a good point to where we can close out. Maybe I'll do a part two. It's a lot more information we can cover. Um, what is, one second here. What is, they say, what is the three parts of Ori again? Of course, once this live is over, you will always be able to go back, and maybe I will, of course, break this video live down into clips. But what is the three parts of Ori? I said that the Ori can be changed. We were speaking about destiny and fate. Fate is kind of a little bit more non-interchangeable. Destiny is kind of more like revolving, especially about taking the wrong path, getting distracted away from your path, building bad iwebele or bad EB, bad fortune. In many different ways you can get, off your path as far as the Ori. But the main three parts, like I say, you got Ibanu, and those three, as far as like the body, the head, the stomach, and the big toe. You also got, like I say, the consciousness, the subconsciousness, and the super consciousness that relies with those three. Okuliyan. Okuliyan is more of like a decision that you made, something that you got to choose before you came here. You got Okun. Okun Legba. Okun Legba is like a choice that you really didn't pick, but it's here to serve that initial request that you asked for. It's like here to help. And then Ayam Mo. Ayam Mo is like a decision that was part of that Ori that you really didn't get to decide. Like I said, that could be like family, lineage, bloodline, etc. Those type of things. Who your son ends up being, who your mother ended up being, etc. You really didn't have no control over that. So those are the three different parts as far as that question. To wrap that up, why am I here? This comes along with those finding out your Ori for yourself. That's just one of those questions. That you have to do. You have to get the divination. You have to get the ceremony done to be into finding that answer. And the answer is there. Once again, the Ori is like a GPS. It's like a map. It's a guide. It has the answers for you, but you have to do the work. And that's what these cultures just do. Yoruba proverbs. When you pray, you must move your feet. That's saying that you can hope and wish all you want, but you must do the work. We have a large amount of faith over hope in this community. We have faith that we, are walking the righteous path. We have faith that we are within Idi. You know what I'm saying? And not Ibi. So we have to keep that in mind, that the faith over hope is like strenuous in this culture. And the more you have faith, is the more you be empowered to work. So we just got to keep those things in mind about those type of questions. No, we can't give too many secrets. We got to figure out. We can tell you what the shaking every morning means. The further you dive in. But yeah, we're gonna end up wrapping it up. Definitely hit us on those different platforms. I appreciate anybody who's on any of our lives. On any of our lives, we do appreciate you. Definitely please like, share, subscribe for us, and share about going families. Everybody stay healthy out there.